The first time I died, it wasn't nearly as dramatic as I'd imagined. No angelic chorus, no bright tunnel of light, just the taste of blood, the roar of screeching tires, and the last thing I saw. His face cold and distant, as if he had already forgotten me. The second time, when I opened my eyes, I realized the universe had thrown me a cruel miracle. I was back. Back before the betrayals, before the accident, before he became the alpha lawyer feared in every courtroom and adored by everyone but me. Back before I lost him. Ethan Halamy Alpha, my once lover, my destined bond. The man who looked at me once as if I was his entire world, and later as if I was nothing. And this time, I swore I wouldn't let history repeat itself. New York was merciless, a city of ambition and devouring lights, where weakness was trampled without hesitation. In my first life, I had been too soft, too naive, trusting the wrong people and failing to protect Ethan when he needed me most. I thought love alone was enough, but love had drowned under the weight of lies, schemes, and the brutal hunger of power. But rebirth. Rebirth was a second chance. I could already feel it in my veins, the burning determination to rewrite everything. I would shield him, tear down the vultures circling around him, and carve a place for myself at his side again. Even if it meant embracing the ruthless part of myself I had once feared. The irony? He didn't even know I was back yet. The Ethan I saw now wasn't the hardened man from my memories. He was still sharp, still cold at the edges, but there was a quiet hesitation in his eyes, like someone bracing for a betrayal that hadn't yet come. That was my opening, my chance. But approaching him again wasn't simple. Alphas like him didn't fall easily, not when they had built walls high enough to touch the sky. And Ireborn Omega or not was still the one who had left scars on his heart in the life before. That didn't matter, because the moment I saw him walking down Fifth Avenue, tall and commanding in his tailored suit, raindrops sliding down his jawline, I knew my vow wasn't just a promise. It was destiny. The cafe was crowded, warm with the smell of roasted coffee beans and cinnamon. I sat by the window, pretending to scroll through my phone, while my heart raced like it was the first time I'd seen him. Ethan stepped inside. The chatter dimmed, not because he was famous, though his reputation was already spreading through Manhattan's legal circles, but because he carried a presence that made people instinctively move aside. Sharp gray eyes, posture straight as steel, lips pressed into that line of indifference I used to tease him about. God, I had missed him. I didn't move until he ordered his drink and turned, scanning the room. His gaze swept past me once, twice, then landed. His eyes froze, just for a fraction of a second, but I caught it. The flicker of recognition. My chest tightened. Would he hate me already? Or would fate be merciful, letting me start fresh? He walked toward me. Each step made the air feel heavier. You're in my seat, he said, voice low, threaded with the same restrained authority that once made entire courtrooms fall silent. I almost laughed. Out of all the lines in the universe, fate gave me this one. Then sit, I said, sliding my phone aside, forcing my tone casual though my palms were sweating. There's room for both of us. His eyes narrowed. For a moment I thought he'd turn away, but then sat. Our knees brushed beneath the small table. Sparks shot up my spine, the bond tugging like a whisper of what once was. He didn't react, or maybe he was hiding it well, but I felt it, just like before. Do I know you? Ethan asked, sipping his coffee without breaking eye contact. I wanted to say everything, that I knew the curve of his smile when he thought no one was looking, the way he used to mutter legal arguments in his sleep, the warmth of his arms on winter nights, that I knew how he would fall, how he would bleed, how he would break. Instead, I said, not yet, and that was how our story began again. I spent the next week shadowing him, carefully threading myself back into his orbit. Not too close to trigger suspicion, not too far to lose my chance. New York was a beast, and Ethan was standing at the edge of a war he didn't even see coming. The vultures were circling already. Rival firms, corrupt politicians, even so-called friends who smiled while sharpening their knives. I recognized them all, because I had lived this war once before, and I had lost him to it. Not this time. The first strike came from a colleague of his, Jonathan Presea, a silver-tongued beta who pretended loyalty while selling Ethan out to competitors. In my first life, I hadn't noticed until it was too late. But now, I saw through him immediately. I followed Jonathan after hours, tracing his steps to a high-rise in Brooklyn, where he handed over confidential files to a shadowy figure. I could have gone to Ethan, but would he believe me? Not yet. So I collected proof. Photos, documents, voice recordings. When the time came, I'd hand Ethan the knife and let him cut his enemies down himself. In the meantime, I inserted myself gently into Ethan's life. Coffee breaks, shared cabs in the rain, casual conversations that carried more weight than either of us admitted. Every time his eyes softened, just a little, I felt my vow anchoring deeper. But not everything could be fixed with closeness. Because one night, as I left the office where Ethan worked late, I heard a voice behind me. "You don't belong at his side," it hissed. I turned and froze. It was Adrian Blake, the same alpha who had once stolen everything from me in the past. His smile was as venomous as ever, a reminder of the downfall that had cost me Ethan before. Except this time, I wasn't the same helpless Omega he had crushed. This time I was ready. Ethan's name echoed across the courtroom like a thunderclap. The trial that had once destroyed him in my first life now stood at its climax, with evidence stacked against the vultures who had circled him for years. Jonathan Price's betrayal, Adrian Blake's schemes, the corrupt officials, they were all exposed, their masks torn away under the brutal clarity of truth. And this time, Ethan wasn't standing alone. I was there, by his side. When the judge slammed the gavel, sentencing Jonathan and his allies to prison, the courtroom erupted in chaos. Reporters swarmed, flashes of cameras lit the air, but Ethan didn't flinch. His jaw was tight, his shoulders squared, but I saw the relief bleeding into his eyes, the storm finally breaking. Our eyes met across the noise, and for the first time in 2 lives, I saw Ethan look at me not with suspicion, not with cold restraint, but with something dangerously close to trust. I wanted to collapse right there, to laugh, to cry, to grab him and whisper that it was finally over. But it wasn't, not completely, because Adrian wasn't finished. It happened that night. New York rain poured hard, drenching the streets in a restless rhythm. Ethan and I walked together under a single umbrella, our shoulders pressed too close, silence stretching between us. Every step was heavy with unspoken words. "Why?" he asked suddenly. His voice was rough, low enough to be swallowed by the rain. "Why do you keep doing this? Helping me, protecting me. What do you want from me?" The question I had rehearsed in my head 1,000 times. What did I want? Revenge for my past? Redemption for my failures? Or just him? I turned, meeting his gaze. "I want you to live, to win, to be free of the people who tried to break you. And after that?" His eyes burned, like he was daring me to tell the truth. My throat tightened. "After that, I want you to let me stay." The silence that followed was suffocating. My heart pounded, waiting, fearing. But before Ethan could answer, headlights flared at the end of the street. A black car screeched to a halt, doors flying open. Figures spilled out, men in suits, faces hard, movements sharp. Adrian Blake stepped into the rain, his smile slicing through the night. "You never learn, do you?" he sneered, eyes locking on me. 2 lives, and you still crawl back to his side. Pathetic. Ethan stiffened, shifting in front of me instinctively, a shield without even thinking. My chest ached. Even now, even after everything, he still protected me. But this time, I wouldn't let him bleed for me. The fight was brutal. Adrian's men lunged, fists and knives flashing under the downpour. Ethan fought like the alpha he was, every strike precise, fueled by rage and instinct. But they were too many. I joined the fray. My body remembered pain, remembered fear, but my soul remembered something stronger: resolve. I ducked a blade, slammed my elbow into a jaw, kicked a knee out from under another attacker. The Omega they had underestimated was long gone. Blood mixed with rain, footsteps splashing against pavement. Adrian stood back, watching with amusement, until the chaos thinned. He stepped forward, knife gleaming. "Do you really think you can save him this time?" I met his gaze, my voice steady. "No. I know I can." I pulled the recorder from my pocket, the same one I had used to collect his confessions, his threats, his deals. I had baited him into arrogance, into speaking freely, and tonight, it paid off. Adrian's smirk faltered when he recognized it. Sirens wailed in the distance. The police, tipped off by me hours earlier, were closing in. For the first time, Adrian looked cornered. He lunged anyway. The knife sliced across my arm, hot pain flaring, but I held firm, shoving him back into Ethan's waiting grip. Ethan twisted the blade from his hand, fury blazing in his eyes as he pinned Adrian against the wall. "Stay away from him," Ethan growled, voice low and deadly. The officers arrived seconds later, dragging Adrian and his men away in handcuffs. The rain kept falling, washing crimson streaks off the concrete, leaving only the echo of chaos behind. I swayed, exhaustion pulling at me, but Ethan's arms caught me before I could fall. "Idiot," he muttered, his forehead pressing against mine, his breath shaky. "You could have died." I smiled weakly. "So could you." His grip tightened, as if letting go would undo everything we'd fought for. And then finally Ethan kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't hesitant. It was fierce, desperate, years of pain and longing colliding into one single moment. The bond snapped into place, stronger than ever, burning through every scar. We were home. Days later, New York felt different. The city hadn't changed, but we had. Ethan's reputation as the undefeated alpha lawyer grew brighter, his enemies silenced, his path clear. And at his side, I no longer felt like a shadow. I wasn't just someone he tolerated, I was someone he chose. One evening, we stood on the rooftop of his apartment, the skyline stretching wide, lights flickering like stars fallen to earth. The wind carried the faint sound of traffic, but up here, it was just us. 2 lives, I whispered, leaning against him. 2 chances, and I almost lost both. Ethan's hand found mine, fingers lacing firmly. "But you didn't." I looked at him, the man I had sworn to protect, the man I had died for once and would live for now. His eyes, usually sharp and guarded, softened in a way I knew was reserved for me alone. "You're not leaving again," he said, not a plea, not a question, but a command born of love. I laughed, the sound catching in the wind. "Not even death could make me." His lips brushed mine again, slow this time, tender, sealing the vow neither of us would ever break. And for the first time across 2 lives, I believed it. Fate wasn't cruel. Fate had simply waited for us to be ready, for us to fight, for us to choose each other again. This time we had won. This time our love wasn't broken. This time forever was real. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.